Hey guys, Foxdrop here with a video that accompanies my patch 3.14 SoloQ jungle tier list. Now this is the patch that brought out all of the season 4 preseason changes. So these are the best junglers, or the rating of the junglers as of my opinion. So for this tier list, the things that will have changed from the previous tier list, basically the positional changes within the champions themselves, we're mostly down to several different reasons, obviously, with the new changes that have come out. So that'll be things like the new masteries may affect their position, just the whole kind of like the feel of the new jungle, so the gold flow or the new jungle camp, stuff like that. You know, the new items, how they use them, and of course just things like, you know, individual champion changes, the buffs and nerfs that have happened. So as always, if you want to see this tier list yourself, click the link in the description. That will take you to this page that I'm looking at now, and you can read all about the tier list. There's a lot of detail on here, so I'm just going to be going through some of the details, talking a little bit about this, but there is, seriously, I put a lot of work into all these different descriptions, in-depth descriptions, so if you ever want to know how good a jungler is, then just go to this page and take a look at the ones that I've written descriptions for. And for this video itself, I'm not going to be going through every single detail, because firstly that won't do justice to the, I won't be able to talk long enough, because I'll end up talking like 3 hours on all of this, and secondly it's all on this page anyway, so you can just check that out. So as far as the layout goes, same as before. You've got from tier 1 to tier 4, and within those tiers, you have two sub tiers. So you'll have tier 1A, tier 1B, tier 2A, tier 2B, etc, etc. The difference between A and B is very, very minor. So if you think something is in 2B and it should be in 2A, don't worry about it, because that often just comes down to your personal preference. Something in 2B is not really that much worse than something in 2A. It's really just to split it up so that it looks more neat and stuff like that. There's always going to be this explanations here at the top of the page, just, what defines the champions tier, all of that stuff, the layout. Read through that and then read the tier list itself. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of this tier list for you, and I'm going to be giving you a tiny bit of the explanations, but like I say, head over to the article itself if you want in-depth stuff. So what's changed here, what's new? In tier 1A, we have the best junglers out there at the moment, in my opinion, are Lee Sin, Elise, Vi, Evelynn, and Shyvana. And in tier 1B, we have Udyr, Nocturne, Kazakhs, Olaf, Jarvan, who previously was in 1A, Dr. Mundo, and Atrox. So the reason why I think Lee Sin, Elise, Vi, Evelynn, and Shyvana are the best junglers is just because they really thrive at the moment. So Lee Sin is just like the king of all junglers. He will always be the king of all junglers, basically, just because high skill cap, but can do so much. He's extremely versatile. He can do it all. He can duel, he can counter gank, he can invade, he can farm a little bit. He's just really, really, really good as a jungler. So he'll always be high up there unless something drastic happens to knock him down. Elise is very strong at the moment as well, because she clears extremely efficiently. Her ganks are great. She's probably the best tanky DPS kind of jungler out there at the moment. And also something which is nice about her is that she is a magic damage champion, and most junglers are physical damage. Vi again is just, she's pretty much, if Lee Sin is the king, then Vi is the queen. She can do a lot, and with the new jungle changes specifically, she has been helped quite a bit more, because she can clear extremely fast, especially with her W, which does percentage health damage. So the new white camp that's been released has a lot of health, and Vi can absolutely destroy that camp because of her W, which does percentage health damage. So she can bulldoze her way through the jungle, get most use out of all that extra gold that's in there. But she can also do things like ganking, she can duel, she can, she's really good at taking away dragon as well by herself, and even in the late game she's extremely powerful as well. She's just a very, very good jungle pick overall. Now Evelynn, the reason why she's so good is kind of twofold. Firstly, the vision changes are a big deal. The fact that Evelynn now, you can't really ward against her at all, because you can buy vision wards, but Eve will see those vision wards. So she'll go to the lane, and if your lane is pink warded, then Eve will know about it, she'll destroy it, and then she'll come back later, and there's not really anything you can do about it. You can't keep spending 100 gold just to stop Eve coming into your lane. It doesn't work like that. It won't work like that. You'll be spending too much gold. So Eve can have huge amounts of pressure that way. Something that has changed as well is that the new Elder Lizard only procs off of physical damage. So you don't get Elder Lizards anymore on Evelynn, because her hate spikes, her Q don't proc it anymore. Instead you get Spectral Wraith, and she turns more into a very similar to an AP mid Evelynn, especially if she gets snowballing. So you'll buy Spectral Wraith, Deathfire Grass, Sonia's, they're all really, really nice items on her. She becomes a very good AP assassin in the jungle. She's also really good at dueling. Her huge weakness though is just her early jungling. She gets very low when jungling. She'll use all 5 of her potions on her first clear. It's pretty ridiculous. But apart from that, she's extremely strong. Shyvana as well from tier 1A, very strong. Just she's always been a really good control jungler, and the recent changes to her, which happened quite a few months ago actually, kind of put her at a really nice spot. And because of the way the meta's kind of shifting with all these like heavy push combos coming out, and just how important it is to just apply pressure and not necessarily be ganking and snowballing so much. Now with the fact that the mid assassins aren't as powerful as they used to be, Shyvana now is extremely strong. She can power through the jungle just like Vi can. Really good at doing that. She's also extremely good at dueling, counter jungling. She's probably one of the best at, if not the best at doing that. She just has, basically Shyvana is the epitome of pressure. If you were to look up the definition of pressure in the dictionary, well, you get up the definition of pressure, but you'd also have a picture of Shyvana's face. You know, if someone had defaced that dictionary and stuck a picture of Shyvana in there. That's how good Shyvana is. She applies so much pressure, and when you're jungling, pressure is pretty much number one. She's also really good in the top lane too, but she's just an amazing jungler. Now, for the new ones in Tier 1B, I'm not going to go through all of these like I did with Tier 1A. Udyr and Nocturne are just solid junglers. People often have quarrels about Nocturne being so high in the tier list because they say that his win ratios are quite low. So why would how is someone with this low win ratio so high on the tier list? Well, this is something I want to address here in this video because people always say this. And basically what I'm going to say is win ratios don't define how good a champion is. It's a good indication of how good they are, but it's not all that matters. If you think about, I mean, just look at the champions that have high win ratios. Like people say for Rammus, for example, how Rammus has such a high win ratio. Why isn't he considered one of the best junglers in the game? And if you also look at who has a high win ratio, Maokai has like almost 53-54% win ratio. Does that mean Maokai is one of the best junglers in the game? No, he's not. That's just, you can't argue against that. He isn't. But his win ratio is very high. And Nocturne's win ratio is pretty low, but he's still one of the best solo queue junglers in the game. Meteor says that. Diamond Prox says that. It's just a fact. He can farm really well. He can carry. He's really good with items. He's really, 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 really strong. And in the new jungle, he's even better because he can farm and he reaches that kind of late game power a lot more efficiently, like the whole jungle changes are supposed to happen. The fact that junglers now get more gold, so Nocturne now has more items, so he's now more powerful than he was before as well. Not overly more powerful, but still really strong. But I mean, you can look at it from AD carry's point of view as well. Vayne, as far as AD carries goes, has an extremely low win ratio, below she's like 47% or something. She's still one of the most powerful AD carries out there, or at least she definitely was. Now it's a bit hit and miss, but she definitely was one of the best ones out there. Now Kazakhs is someone who's been put in here who wasn't in here before, and he's really strong right now. Kazakhs benefits a lot from, like, I've got the explanations down here. Like I say, you should read through these if you want to know. Like right here is a good explanation of why Kazakhs is so strong, but there's a load of different reasons, and he benefits a lot from having more gold in the jungle, so he can be a more effective assassin. If assassins don't have gold, they don't have items, then they're pretty useless. He also, he's really good at taking away the new white camp because his Q does isolation damage, so he gets even more bonus from that. Especially if you've evolved it first, he can like 3-shot that white camp, which gets him makes his clearing extremely fast, so that he doesn't have to spend a lot of time in the jungle and can actually spend more time applying pressure and snowballing the lanes. He's also just a really strong character in general. Like as a mid laner, he's really strong right now as well, because a lot of the other assassins have got nerfed. He's just really, really good right now. Very strong. Olaf is one which is just basically, Olaf is someone who has been really, really heavily influenced by the new defensive masteries. The new defensive masteries are extremely potent for these kind of really beefy junglers. Olaf always has a lot of damage as well because he can spam his undertow, hit slows on people, and just be extremely powerful in that regard. But with these new defensive masteries, he becomes even more of like an unstoppable, immovable object, basically. Him and Dr. Mundo have that very much in common. Dr. Mundo, again, benefits very heavily from these new defensive masteries. They're very strong at doing these. They're good in the new jungle, apply a lot of pressure, and like I say, pretty much just immovable objects with a lot of damage as well. So they're very strong junglers, Dr. Mundo and Olaf. Again, there's more detailed explanations on this page. Now Atrox I haven't moved down here. I don't see him so much, but I still think Atrox is strong. Excuse me, his E got really heavily nerfed, and his Passive attack speed also got heavily nerfed, but I still think he's good. I think he was really strong before, and now he's been nerfed. So it's a bit like what happened with Vi, where she got nerfed a bit hard. People stopped playing her, but actually she was still really strong. I think that's kind of the way it is with Atrox. I know that's not like the whole story with Vi, by the way, but it's part of the story. I still think Atrox is strong. I still think he's decent. I just think he was so broken before that now he's been toned more in line. But because he got nerfed so hard, people are kind of wary of him. And also there are a lot of other really good junglers out there at the moment, so there's not really any need to pick Atrox. Now, so I don't want to talk too much longer because I've already talked for quite a long time, so I'm just going to cherry pick a few of these now. Gragas is in tier 2A, so a very strong jungler. He's really good right now for several reasons. Firstly, he can, with the change on his E, means that now his E doesn't do split damage to all the monsters that it hits. It now does full damage to everything it hits, so he can clear a lot more effectively now, and that's actually a pretty big deal when it comes to like the Wraith camps and the Wolf camp and stuff like that. Pretty strong. And as far as it goes, Gragas has always been a pretty good jungler because his W gives him a huge AD steroid, his passive makes pretty good sustain for the jungle, and just because he has some decent kit for clearing anyway, but he's just even stronger now. Like the Spectral Wraith item really helps him out to kind of deal with the issues he has in the jungle are kind of masked, but when he buys that Spectral Wraith, and then he can just buy flat out, like mid Gragas items, full AP, all that stuff, and he just transitions very well into like a lane Gragas, especially if he gets snowballing. And he's great. Like I remember playing a game where Shyvana I invaded, and I found Fat Man in his own jungle, and he just slapped me silly. Like he drunk his beer, got huge AD steroid, and just beat the shit out of me. And I was Shyvana, like I think this was like level 3, but early on Gragas is an extremely good jeweler, like really good, and he's just a very nice jungler overall. Amumu again with the Spectral Wraith item. Amumu is always considered a very good jungler in general, especially at lower elos, but at higher elos his weaknesses were really like better junglers would kind of make a lot of use out of his weakness. They'd pick on him a little bit, they'd invade him, they'd deny him that much, and then they'd become stronger themselves. And so Amumu wasn't didn't thrive as much as he does in the lower elo, where those weaknesses aren't taken advantage of. But with his new Spectral Wraith item, he can stay in the jungle and power farm just as fast as anyone. Like his clear speeds are ridiculously fast with Spectral Wraith, so he can get really strong with items and with farm. And Amumu's always going to be useful as long as he's got his ultimate. He's always going to be somewhat useful. And now that he can farm, it's more reliable. He can guarantee a strength into the late game, so he's really good. Let's see who else. Diana, Wukong, and Taric are probably the last ones I'm going to talk about here. So Diana is more of like a mage bruiser, like a duelist, a bruiser, kind of control clear jungler. Not necessarily control, sorry, more of a clear jungler. Her passive makes clearing really good because you don't rely on any mana on it. You hit people with the basic attacks every so often, then you do a cleave and do extra damage. So her clearing's really good. Her W makes up for any sustain issues she might have because she gets a shield from that. She's just really good. She's very fast at clearing, so she's pretty strong, but she does lack some like decent CC, especially early game. She's got her E for CC, but it's not really as good as some of the other things. If you were to, like Jarvan EQ or Mundo Cleaver, Olaf Axe, just stuff like that, it doesn't really compare as much. And but late game when she does her engaging, she's really good actually. If she goes in with her ultimate and then lands her E, she can actually, it's like a mini Orianna role. Not as powerful, but considering for what it is, it's really useful, and her engages are pretty good in that sense if you've got a team to follow you up. Wukong has seen a lot of attention. I know St. Vicious did tier this and put Wukong right at the top. I don't really agree with that. You don't see Wukong junglers in the EU. I've seen one or two. That's mostly just because St. Vicious was doing it, basically. But yeah, he's good. He's not too bad, but I don't think he offers more than all the other junglers do. Maybe, like I say, the difference between tier 2B and tier 2A is very slim, very small. So if you think you want to put him in tier 2A, that's fine, go ahead. I don't think he's better than anyone in tier 1 though, that's my opinion. But he's definitely a strong jungler. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with him. I just don't think he's as good as the other ones, like I say. But again, there's a more detailed explanation on this page if you want to read more about my reasoning. And you feel free to disagree with me on that as well. Like, if you think Wukong's really good, that's fine. I'm not saying he's bad. I just don't think he's as good as these other ones. Taric as well is another one who's climbed up here as well. Now, this is a bit of a surprise. Taric has never been considered a jungler apart from when he had a semi-recent rework. He became like broken tier 1 jungler, and then he was like toned back and he fell out of favour again as far as jungle goes. But now he's pretty good actually. This kind of beefy supports are really nice in general. Like, as a support, I think Tarik is one of the strongest right now. That's my opinion. I think Tarik is a really, really strong support. He's that's because of the new the new support items make him a lot beefier, especially that Targon's Embrace, those kind of things, Heart of the Mountain or Face the Mountain, one of those two. And also just the fact that supports, oh my goodness, I'm mincing my words way too much. Supports now get more gold overall, so Tarik can build more beefy items, and because he has a lot of armor scaling, because of his passive, his W or scales with his armor, he can get really tanky and actually still have a lot of damage. And it's kind of similar like that in the jungle. He doesn't farm very quickly. That's his biggest weakness, is that he's really slow at farming. Not immensely slow, but as far as it goes, as far as all the people in tier 2 and tier 1 are concerned, he's probably one of the slowest, if not the slowest. But his ganks are really unrivaled. It's really easy to gank with Tarik. I mean, you just point and click a stun. It's pretty much perfect as far as ganking goes. But his passive now acts like a sheen effect as well. So you get an Iceborne Gauntlet on Tarik, and that's a huge power spike. Massive, massive, massive power spike. He suddenly becomes really strong. Can do a lot of things. Loads of damage. He's tanky. He's just like, he has all the benefits of being a support as well. So when you go into like the mid game, late game, you can just, you know, get in people's face, be really tanky, but also you can heal people. You can peel a little bit, all that kind of stuff. Buff your team. So I think he's really, really nice. And as a jeweler as well. that wasn't a gem pun. I genuinely mean like a duelist, I should say, I guess. I should really go to bed. I think he's one of the best as well. He's tanky. He has pretty nice damage, and yeah, he's pretty nice overall. I actually did a recent Tarik video as well, so you can check out Tarik commentary. It's down here somewhere. There it is. There's my fabulous Tarik Jungle Diamond 1 commentary. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to say for this video here. I'm not going to go into talk about everything, obviously, because I want you to actually read this article, because I put a lot of time into it. But yeah, so that's that. So let me know what you think about the article, guys, about the tier list. There's obviously going to be stuff you disagree with, things, you know, champions you think belong in different places. That's fine, you know, that's cool. This is just, you know, my opinions and SoloQ and stuff like that. But yeah, so thanks very much for watching, guys. Thanks for checking out the article as well. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.